Ngozi was just a poor maid, unseen and forgotten, until one fateful night changed everything. What happened next would leave the entire village in shock. In a small, forgotten village, where dreams seemed out of reach, lived Ngozi, a poor maid who barely made ends meet. Her tiny hut, with walls patched up from years of wear, stood in sharp contrast to the grand mansion at the village's edge. At the other end of the village, the landlord's mansion stood tall and proud, a symbol of wealth and power. Little did Ngozi know, her life was about to collide with that mansion and change forever. And Ngozi is a poor maid who works very hard every day. She cleans the big house of the rich landlord, Chief Okonkwo. She does all the work to help her family, especially her sick mother and younger brothers and sisters. Ngozi wants to escape poverty and make life better for her family. She dreams of giving her mother medicine and sending her siblings to school. She wants to give them better life because they have suffered for so long. She knows life is hard, but she doesn't give up. Every day she works with the hope that one day she will have enough money to make everything better for them. Ngozi works tirelessly from dawn till dusk for Chief Okonkwo, the wealthiest and most feared man in the village. Every morning, she drags herself out of bed in her tiny dark hut that is falling apart. Her family is poor, with no food, and her sick mother and younger siblings depend on her. She knows she has no choice but to keep working for Okonkwo to survive. Despite all her hard work, Okonkwo treats her like she is invisible. He demands that she clean his massive mansion, cook meals for him and his guests, and wash his clothes. Yet he pays her a pittance. He never thanks her, never shows kindness, and whenever she makes the slightest mistake, he scolds her harshly, making her feel small and worthless. She's exhausted and broken inside, but she doesn't dare speak up. What could she possibly do against such a powerful man? Ngozi often wonders if things will ever get better. She dreams of a life where she doesn't have to beg for scraps and can live without fear. But the villagers don't offer her any hope either. They whisper behind her back, calling her names like dirty maid and poor servant. They avoid looking at her when she walks by. No one offers a helping hand. No one sees the pain behind her eyes or understands the weight on her shoulders. They mock her struggle, as if she is stuck in her place forever. She feels like a ghost in her own village, trapped, humiliated, and completely invisible. Ngozi has been cleaning the mansion for hours, her back aching, her hands sore from the endless work. The house feels colder tonight, and she can almost hear whispers in the walls. Just when she thinks she's done, something unusual catches her eye. A faint glimmer, hidden in the corner of the dimly lit room, sparks her curiosity. Her heart races as she steps closer. There, behind a heavy old painting, is a hidden compartment. With trembling fingers, Ngozi pulls at the frame and slides it aside. A small, worn-out chest, covered in dust, sits beneath it. She hesitates, her breath shallow, as if the very air around her is holding its breath. What could this be? The chest seems ancient, but the shine from the cracks in it, the glint of something precious. Could it be treasure? Her hands shake as she unlocks the chest. Inside, gold coins, glistening jewels, and precious artifacts are scattered like forgotten dreams. This was no ordinary discovery. Her eyes widen, disbelief flooding her. She has stumbled upon unimaginable wealth, more than enough to change her life, her family's life, forever. But the exhilaration quickly turns to dread. The chest belongs to Chief Okonkwo, the cruel landlord who has tormented her for so long. What if he finds out she's taken it? What if the villagers hear about it? They already look down on her because of her poverty, and this would make her a thief in their eyes. But the temptation is overpowering. This treasure could give her everything she's ever dreamed of: freedom, respect, a chance to escape from the pain and struggle of her life. It's her only chance to escape, to never have to work for Chief Okonkwo again. But what if the price of taking it is too high? What if, by taking the treasure, she risks everything she has left? Her family, her safety, and even her life? The thought of being caught, tortured, or killed by Chief Okonkwo makes her stomach turn. But what if this is her only chance? What if this is her ticket to a life she could never imagine? She slams the chest shut, her heart pounding in her ears. The weight of the decision crashes down on her. Can she take the risk? Is it worth the danger, or should she walk away and live in misery forever? The world around her spins. She can barely breathe. She knows she can't make this decision in a heartbeat, but she also knows that whatever she chooses, nothing will ever be the same again. Ngozi's pulse races. She feels the weight of the treasure burning in her hands, even though it's hidden deep within the folds of her hut. Every creak of the floorboard sends a jolt of panic through her chest. The air feels thick, as if something terrible is about to happen. The villagers have started to whisper, their eyes following her every move. Every time she walks through the market, they stare, some with curiosity, others with growing suspicion. They notice the small changes, her posture, her smile, the way she carries herself now. The once timid maid is no longer the same. It doesn't take long for the rumors to spread. "She's not the same," they murmur behind her back. "She's hiding something big." Then, the worst happens. One afternoon, as Ngozi walks to fetch water from the well, she feels a sharp presence behind her. Turning around, she freezes. It's Chief Okonkwo, his tall figure looming like a dark cloud. He's not alone. His men are with him, and the villagers, those who had been eyeing her curiously, are now surrounding her in a tight circle. "Where is it, Ngozi?" Chief Okonkwo's voice is cold, and the venom in his words cuts through the silence. "I know you've taken what's mine. I can see it in your eyes. You can't hide it any longer." The air crackles with tension as the villagers exchange knowing glances. Some of them step forward, their faces twisted with greed and envy, their hands itching to tear her down. They've always resented Ngozi, the poor maid who had nothing to offer. And now she has something that none of them will ever have. A woman with a bitter smile sneers at her. She thinks she can keep something from the chief? How naive. A man steps forward, his eyes narrowed with suspicion. "I saw you sneaking into the mansion last night. What were you doing there, Ngozi? What were you hiding?" Ngozi's heart pounds and she can barely breathe. The walls are closing in on her. Her hands tremble and her mind races. What can she say? If she tells them the truth, the treasure will be gone and her dreams will shatter. If she lies, the chief will see through it. She knows too well what the landlord is capable of. He'll do anything to keep his secrets safe. The villagers crowd closer, their eyes gleaming with jealousy. Every one of them wants a piece of whatever Ngozi has found. They don't care that she's worked tirelessly for years, breaking her back in servitude. They only care that she's suddenly changed, and they want in on her good fortune. "Tell us the truth, Ngozi," Chief Okonkwo growls, stepping forward so close that she can smell his cold breath. "Give me back my treasure, or you will regret it." Ngozi's body stiffens. The pressure is unbearable. If she reveals the treasure now, everything she's worked for will disappear. But if she doesn't, the villagers will turn on her, and she might lose everything in another way. The weight of the decision crushes her. Suddenly, one of the villagers, an old woman who's always looked down on her, steps forward, a sharp glint in her eyes. "I know what you've been doing, Ngozi. You think you can hide your secret forever? It's only a matter of time before the truth comes out." Ngozi's heart races, her mind spirals, her entire world is collapsing in front of her. There's no way out. The villagers' whispers grow louder. Chief Okonkwo's eyes flash with anger, and the pressure is unbearable. As the circle tightens, Ngozi knows she has only two choices: reveal the treasure and risk losing everything, or hold on to the secret and fight for her future, no matter how dangerous it becomes. Ngozi steps into the village square, heart pounding, with the treasure now exposed. The heavy chest, filled with gold and jewels, gleams in the sunlight. The whispers start, quick, nervous, like a wildfire spreading through the crowd. She knows this moment changes everything. At first, she only thought of her family, her mother, her younger siblings, the people she loved most. She wanted them to live without the hunger and shame that had been their reality for so long. But now, standing before the villagers, something new stirs inside her. She doesn't just want to help her family, she wants to change everything. The village, once a place of despair, now feels alive with possibility. The sick no longer have to travel for miles to see a doctor. The children no longer have to work the fields instead of going to school. The elderly, who had long given up hope, now find warmth and dignity. But not everyone is happy. Chief Okonkwo, the once powerful landlord who ruled with fear, now stands at the edge of the crowd. His eyes burn with fury. He never thought this day would come. Ngozi, the poor maid, the girl he humiliated, is now standing in front of him, richer and more powerful than he ever was. "This is mine!" Chief Okonkwo yells, his face twisted with rage. He's lost control. The villagers who once feared him now look at him with disdain, disgust, and pity. He knows he's losing everything. Ngozi stands tall, holding her ground. Her voice rings out with authority, stronger than she ever thought possible. "This treasure was stolen from the people of this village, stolen by you, and now it's time for justice." The crowd murmurs, eyes widening. They know the truth now. They know the price of their silence, and they're done paying it. They've lived under the weight of Chief Okonkwo's cruelty long enough. Suddenly, a hush falls. The villagers stop and stare. Ngozi steps forward, her face a picture of calm, though her heart is racing. She speaks again, but this time her words are sharp, cutting through the tension. "You've taken everything from us, but today, we take it back." Chief Okonkwo lunges at her, his hand reaching for the treasure, his greed clouding his judgment. But before he can touch it, the villagers step forward, strong, united. They hold him back, their hands steady, their faces determined. Ngozi turns to them, her voice trembling with emotion. "This is our village, not his." The crowd erupts. Chief Okonkwo's empire is collapsing right before his eyes. His mansion, once a symbol of his power, is now nothing more than a decaying monument to his greed. Ngozi's heart pounds in her chest, but she doesn't back down. She's earned this moment. Now, the villagers rally around her, a new strength in their voices. "We've been slaves to fear for too long. It's time for us to rise together," one of the elders declares, his voice breaking the silence. The next day, the village is transformed. With Ngozi's newfound wealth, she doesn't just buy land for her family or build a mansion for herself. She builds schools, places of learning and hope for the children who were once forced to work. She opens clinics so the sick no longer have to suffer. She creates jobs, helping the women and men of the village stand on their own feet. And most importantly, she gives them the one thing they've always needed: hope. The hope that their futures are no longer bound by the cruel hand of the landlord. Chief Okonkwo, meanwhile, is dragged away. His riches are stripped from him, his name now tainted by the truth of his actions. He is cast out, alone, and forgotten. But Ngozi's power doesn't lie in the treasure. It lies in her heart, her compassion, and the courage to stand up against the injustice that once defined her life. As the sun sets over the village, Ngozi stands tall, surrounded by the people who were once her neighbors, now her friends, her family. They look at her with admiration, awe, and respect. The girl who was nothing is now the woman who changed everything. And as the villagers celebrate, Ngozi knows this is only the beginning. There's still much to be done. But for the first time in her life, she's no longer afraid. She's ready to fight, to lead, and to change the world, one step at a time. Ngozi's journey shows us that hard work and kindness don't go unnoticed, no matter how difficult life may seem. Patience is key when dreams feel distant, and sometimes all it takes is one moment of change to turn your life around. Her success wasn't born from luck, but from years of enduring hardship with dignity and caring for others, even when no one saw her struggle. On the other hand, greed and jealousy only destroy lives. Chief Okonkwo had everything: his wealth, his mansion, his power. But it was his greed that blinded him to what truly mattered. He thought wealth was the measure of a man's worth, but it was compassion, courage, and the willingness to help others that proved to be the real treasure. In the end, his greed led to his downfall, while Ngozi's kindness made her the true ruler of the village, not because of gold, but because of her heart.